Hi, folks. Video today is continuing this idea of what can we add to an argument to kind of further our rhetoric, really specifically looking at stylistic additions or organizational additions that can go beyond just simple claims, reasonings, and evidence. So our specific skill is we are looking at describing the reasoning, the organization, or the development of an argument for this one. So focusing in on organization, again, our questions kind of become, okay, what are we trying to say? How are we trying to say it? And then why are we saying it in this particular way? And with our focus today being on that organizational technique and at the sentence level, at the paragraph level, and at the entire piece level. And organization connects to style in some pretty profound ways. So a style is the way in which an author writes. Right? That's my style. That's how I'm saying things. And organization is the way in which an author presents ideas. Right? I am choosing to put this organizational structure first before this organizational structure, and that has an effect. Right? What people see first and the order in which things are revealed to them really makes a difference. Right? I think about it like a mystery novel, and if they didn't order that mystery novel correctly and they told you who the killer was at the beginning of the novel, the whole thing would be ruined. Right? There is effect like that even in simple arguments. And what criticizing organization does is really makes us think about, how do these ideas that I'm talking about, writing about, developing, how do they connect? What's the relationship between these? So when you're thinking about organization, think about what you are going to emphasize by building an organizational structure in however way you choose, right? Are you going to focus on a compare and contrast idea? So here's one thought, here's another thought, here's how they mix or don't mix throughout the rest of your paper. You can think about putting your most important ideas first or your most important ideas last, and what's the effect behind that? Should I be leading with my strongest argument, or should I be ending with my strongest argument? Why would I make either of those two choices? It gets to be up to you. You can organize chronology, cause and effect, or you can think about order of degree. I like to think about this one as impact. What impact is this sentence or transition or introduction going to have on my readers? So I've got a little practice for us. Thinking at the paragraph level, I've got a pretty impressive paragraph right here. You hopefully should recognize this, where this comes from. So what I want you to try to do is take our normal paragraph organizational structure, claim, evidence, and reasoning, and I want you to try to read this paragraph, press pause, and identify, okay, where's the claim? Where's the evidence? Where's the reasoning? Go ahead and give that a shot. All right. So if you notice, they don't start off with their claims. This writer, our four founding fathers, this is from the Declaration of Independence, brought in their claims later on in the paragraph. And I have these highlighted and kind of bolded here. So it is their right, it is their duty to throw off government and to provide new guards for future security. That's what they're saying we have to do. This is where they actually make a defendable, arguable claim that it's our duty, our right to overthrow the government. And so they kind of eschew, like, we're not going to start with our claims. We're almost going to end with our claims. So let's take a look at the evidence. What evidence do they supply for this? And actually not a whole bunch, right? The short piece of evidence that they give, at least in this opening paragraph, is that the history and the present king of Britain is the history of repeated injuries and usurpations. So there's not a whole lot of like historical reference here. They've got a little bit, one sentence worth, but the predominating structural element, organizational element, is these reasonings. And this provides really good rhetoric, really good kind of argumentative effect to say, here are the reasons, and here are the reasons, and here are the reasons, and here are the reasons that we've come to this claim, right? So instead of saying, here's our claim and here's how we defend it, they're kind of going through like all of the wrongs that have been done upon them in addressing this tyrannical British government in the 1770s. All right, so it's one thing to notice organizational effects and especially breaks from traditional organizational structure. Next thing we have to do is really think about what effect does this have. And I want you to try to come up with this yourself. Now, I just kind of gave you an example of here's where we go, here's the effect that we get from stating our reasoning, and then building into our claim, and then giving a little bit of piece of evidence. How does that affect the rest of the piece? What impact does that have maybe on the reader? All right. Another way to think about organizational structures is in some of these graphic organizers. This is something that I really like doing. And traditionally, when I sit down to write a paper, this is kind of what it looks like. Is I'll think through my thesis, and then I'll just kind of think through my organization. Okay, how am I going to back this up? How am I going to back this up? How am I going to back this up? What evidences am I going to have? And this is a great planning tool. But in reality, we don't read papers in this kind of tiered format. We kind of read them from start to finish, right? We see this flow. So another piece that you might want to think about is sort of this realistic model of organization. Is if I'm going to start with this introduction, how am I going to link that? How's that going to flow into claim number one? And why am I bringing up claim number one here instead of maybe at the end? Or how am I flowing into my next claim? And then how am I flowing into my conclusion? And why am I putting these ideas here instead of here? That's the sort of organizational techniques that I want you to be critical of. And one thing to help you with that is thinking about transitional elements, which are a huge part of organization. Looking at our transition words, and I've got a list here, maybe if I can pull it up. Not only should you be recognizing transitional words in writing that you are assessing and evaluating, you should be thinking about how can I use some transition words to guide and bring my readers along as I am putting ideas in specific and decided order. A simple transition word or phrase can really, really help that. So this link here gives us great ideas for how I might build and connect ideas with transitional elements, especially trying to link claims together or linking evidences together. So I want you to think about, I got one more task for you. I want you to think about how the transitional elements help this section of a paragraph. Go ahead and read through it. And notice how powerful this simple line is. He was, alas, unusually stupid, as Greville pronounced later, an ass. So if I had taken out those transitional words, the ones that I have bolded, I don't think it would have the same effect. I think we need that transition, that kind of reflection of, hey, I shifted ideas, and I shifted ideas in profound ways, right? I went from absolutely doting on this guy to reminding everyone that he's unusually stupid. And so those transition words become essential in bringing the reader along and kind of punching that emphasis home. All right. Good luck, folks.